fruits, only time will tell. Emmanuel Tor, KT News, Nairobi.
All right, history is critical, and that is the foundation that we are on. And Victor Ogalo, who's the Deputy CEO of Kenya Private Sector Alliance. Victor, quickly looking at that journey, you're just exclaiming, looking at that video all the way from April. Sort of, we've been building up on this. As a private sector, what do you have to say about that? Is it something that we had prior and enough time to prepare on these particular shocks?
Thanks a lot, Noah. I was looking at that and just exclaiming how far we've come with these protests. And if we were to go back last year when the elections were contested, so it's not just April. There's been a standoff both on the economy and basically people's lives from last year, because immediately after the Supreme Court pronounced itself, there was dissatisfaction with the court's decision, and that was already simmering into people's emotions. What do we do now that we are dissatisfied? Where else do we go? And then come at the turn of the year in January, the whole global economy, is on a downturn, and that then worsened even the situation that was already worse enough last year. And this is not unique to Kenya. What I would want to urge fellow Kenyans to probably also understand, a new government does not change your circumstances in 1 month or 2 months or 3 months. Okay. It takes time. Okay. But if that doesn't happen, of course, and then you have a contested political outcome, it becomes fuel.
I know.
Yeah, it becomes fuel, and that's what we've seen. To a point where now what we saw in this first quarter, because of continued political disruptions on the economy,
yes,
coupled together with the slow, economic growth, or basically a downturn globally. Investors, if we looked at our stock exchange, and yes, this is something that anybody can look at. I was looking at the data from Central Bank.
Yes.
In the first quarter alone, we lost over 340 billion Kenya shillings. Billion. I'm talking about billion.
That's quite a concern, Victor, and I know we're going to be going into details in some of these issues that you're raising. I want to bring in Dr. Francis Omondi. Daktari, good to see you. The other time we were chatting and you're saying initially Ekosa, I don't know where the Ekosa name came from, but you guys were classmates. But looking at this, there is a feeling of deja vu. The political risk and the way it's attached to the economy, how sensitive it is. It's always something that we're privy, especially in an election year. So with all this back and forth that we're seeing till this week, Wednesday, as they say, we're going to have a protest still. Have we not learned something on how we can decouple these two aspects of the society, because they seem to be not working at hand well?
Thank you, Noah. So my first take is that the political protests are not good for the economy. They are seriously hurting the economy of our country. And if the main reason for these political protests is to bring down the cost of living, then if we continue with this kind of political protests, then the cost of living is even going to go higher. So we need an immediate stop to the political protests that are going on. So both sides of the political divide should agree on a mechanism for bringing this to an immediate stop. Okay. And then later on, they can start a structured dialogue that is all-inclusive, that is going to bring together both the political class, the civil society, the private sector, and even the religious organizations. Because if politicians are left alone, they'll end up pushing for their own interest,
Yes.
forgetting about the rest.
Definitely.
So there's need for an immediate stop to the protests.
Okay.
So that should be our immediate point of action.
Dialogue. If you're saying that you're protesting because of the status of the economy, then be also sensitive to how long it takes and how much it's impacting currently as we speak. So that balance is important. And later on, I'll be getting the voice of Mushai Kunyiha, who is also the chair of Kenya Daima. And this is a private sector-led initiative to make sure that we have proper elections and post-election that is critical and also that is helpful for the economy and healthy for the economy. So I'll be getting his views later on from the other side of the studio. But at this particular moment, Zubeida, I know from where you sit, there are critical players that will be coming on board to discuss, especially parliament.